through three people over 2,000 years, the first 2,000 years of human history. So Noah believed this, he walked with Lamech, his father walked with Adam. Methuselah, his grandfather, walked with Adam. So all these people, so he knew the promise of God of a Redeemer to come. He believed it. He held on to it. He was called a preacher of righteousness. And the Bible tells us the ark was about 100 years in preparing. So here you have 100 years of Noah preaching a Savior is to come. And guess how many converts he got? Zero. Zero people ended up coming over and believing. And of course, to protect that promise, to protect the seed to come, to protect your opportunity to get born again, God comes in with the judgment. Noah's saved in the ark. The flood wipes everything out. And there's a lot that we could talk about that, but that's not really what I'm after. So Noah comes and, the waters eventually go off. Noah starts to proliferate population again. And of course, he still has the promise. And God adds to the promise. You see where it says, when you kill an animal, because they're allowed to eat animals now, that you bury the blood, you spill the blood, cover it with dust. And again, that is speaking to, because he's doing that to show his obedience to believing a Savior is to come. The blood, it must die, it must be buried, dying and go to hell, resurrection. That's all what he's talking about there. And then, of course, we have population begins to explode again. You have the Tower of Babel. All men are building this tower. Their hearts are one. God goes down and he separates the language over the span of, I think, 239 years. The days of Peleg was the earth divided. So all these people begin to separate out again. And what do you think they separate with? They separate with the promise that Noah taught them, that this blood that we pour out when we sacrifice the animal, it is a sign of a Redeemer to come. If you believe that and hold on to that, when this Redeemer comes, you will be saved. Because remember, all these people who lived and died, if they did believe in this Redeemer to come, they went to a place called a paradise. It was next to hell. They couldn't go to heaven because they're still spiritually dead because Jesus hadn't come yet. But they were saved in the hope of that Redeemer to come. This is all very important to Romans 9, because if you don't understand this, Romans 9 doesn't turn out well. So when you finally then, you have this with migration, this pre-gospel is being spread throughout the whole world. And then through Noah's sons, Japheth, Shem, and Ham, of course, all the population comes from these three guys. And you go down, and it doesn't take too long before Abraham is born. And what's interesting is then God calls Abraham. So what we have now of God separating out, choosing one man. Now notice the word choosing. This is God, if you want to call it, God choosing, it's not God choosing one to be saved and one to be lost. It's God choosing one man through which salvation is now going to come. Because now he's choosing the line of people that's going to bring Jesus into the earth. Remember, the covenant made with Adam and Noah, that is a promise to all the world. But now when we get to Abraham, it's only through one person, through one lineage, is this Savior going to come. So Romans 9, when it talks about God choosing one over the other, it's not predestination like he's choosing Steve down the street, but he's not choosing Joe down the other street. It's God is only choosing one group of people to bring Jesus into the earth.